Welcome back, literary slummers, to another episode of Hate Read. I'm Em.
And I'm Anna. Normally here on Hate Read, one of us challenges the other to read a book that we think they will hate. But for this special rewind episode, Em has chosen a book that she already knew she hated. This fortnight. Oh my god, I lost my train of thought.
You gotta tell us what the book is called.
Yes, that is what I was gonna
do. Good.
Yeah, so this fortnight, Em chose for us to read Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Klaus. I think I got that right. That's a lot. So, Em, why don't you go ahead and tell all of us here, because I'm really dying to know, because, spoiler alert, this book is horrific. But why as a child or as a teen in high school, why did you hate this originally?
Okay, so this book came out in the 90s, but I did not read it until around 2006, 2007. And Anna, you may recall there was a literary sensation that was sweeping the nation at the time.
Mid 2000s, paranormal. I don't know.
So,
can't quite put my finger on it.
So when I was in high school, I was a big fan of Twilight, and I don't talk about it much now because I'm not a big. Well, Twilight has its place. I don't want to bash Twilight. That's not the purpose of this episode.
Yeah, no. I mean, hey, any book that gets people to read,
right? But
you know,
I was like the patient zero in my friend group for Twilight. Like, I was the one who made all of my friends read it. So this would have been around the time in between the second and third book of that series, and I was straight up thirsty for paranormal romance. And Annette Curtis Klaus has another book called The Silver Kiss, which is on a lot of lists and was on a lot of lists at the time.
Yeah.
Of if you read Twilight, you should read this. So I read both Silver Kiss and Blood and Chocolate, because Blood and Chocolate kind of got on a few of them too, but obviously it's werewolves, not vampires, so it wasn't quite as associated with Twilight. But I read both of them, expecting that it would be full of hot teenage vampire love. And very non-sexual sexuality, like non-threatening.
Very Mormon sexuality.
Yeah, very Mormon sexuality, and a lot of trembling and longing for one another.
Oh, God.
And neither of those books was very Twilight-esque in that, not to spoil this one too much, but I'll go ahead and spoil Silver Kiss. In that one, I believe the vampire love interest dies at the end.
Rude.
Yeah, so I was like, there are no sexy vampires. I don't like these sexy werewolves. The romance is not going the way I wanted it to. So
I'm mad.
I was very upset with both of these books, which is why I hated them in high school.
Well, I think that's fair because, and if anyone else remembers what the YA landscape was like back in the early and mid 2000s, it was mostly non-existent.
Yeah.
I think it's like Twilight and Hunger Games and, like, you know, the big name books in the genre really kind of kicked off YA as the humongous phenomenon that it is now. But there was like 4 books.
Even more than that, I noticed this one especially because this is 260 some pages long. So I think even, I mean, to some extent Twilight, but also just the 90s were pre-Harry Potter in the sense that, like, no one thought children could read. So they didn't want to. Well, if you look at, like, authors who were publishing, like, past, like, pre-Harry Potter and post-Harry Potter, the size of their books changed. Like, Tamora Pierce, her books went from being, you know, 200, like, maybe in the 300s pages to being, like, big doorstop books because the market changed for, you know, kids and teens that, they would read these bigger books. Because, yeah, like, definitely I think that YA was a very, very different landscape then than it is now, where there's, like, options.
Yeah, well, and it was also, like, teens and preteens and tweens and all those other words were, like, not trusted with plot and emotions and feelings. Like, it was very, like, straightforward. and there was no oh shoot, oh god, just totally lost the word, and it's a really good word. There was no like subtlety to the genre, I guess. That's not the word I was thinking of.
And I mean, I don't want to dismiss the YA genre as a whole at the time, because there were other authors publishing, you know, like there's Cassandra Clare, Lover Hater, you know, Holly Black, who's the one who Leva Bray, like, you know, they were all publishing in the mid 2000s, but yeah, I definitely think kind of pre Twilight, and to a great extent pre Harry Potter, there was, which, you know, this book specifically, it wasn't from the mid 2000s, it was from the 90s, and it very much felt like a 90s book. As like early 90s, which it's not, it's late 90s, but it felt like almost 80s in some of it. It felt very like Lost Boys at times, right? But yeah, so I guess we should kind of get into like how we found this book now as adults reading it.
Oh my gosh. Bad. Very bad.
Well, here, the ending.
I think, okay, so
if the ending wasn't the ending, I think I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, I think this probably is one of the worst books we've read for
just
underlying pedophilia.
Yes, and we will get into that. But like, because of the ending, because it ended the way it did, it made the whole book terrible. But in terms of like, I think, because I said last week when I, you know, issued this challenge that this was going to be our book, I said, you know, I think if we hate it, we will not hate it for the reasons that I hated in high school. And I think that's very true. That actually,
that's very true.
I quite liked the fact that, you know, this was not of the Twilight era, you know, like, it was very...
and it subverted a lot of,
and it wasn't really
I guess it didn't really subvert, it just wrote it differently than things are written now.
But it definitely, like, it was a little bit, like, grittier, I guess, than what kind of that era was. Like we said, you know, like, Twilight...
Very graphic in some
ways. Like, Twilight sexuality is very, you know, chaste sexuality, and this is very, like, I would say our main character's main trait was that she was horny all the time. Like,
oh my god, yes, and unashamedly so, which, like, go
girl,
you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The word I was thinking of earlier was nuanced.
Good, I'm glad we cleared that up. Alright, so you want to get into the meat of this book?
Yes, go for it.
Alright, so our main character, her name is Vivian. She is a werewolf, and her father is the leader of the pack of werewolves, and that's how we open, is that there is a fire at their inn that they own as werewolves, and her father runs in to save some people, and he ends up burning to death.
Very sad.
So fun start to kick us off. So it's a year later, and the pack has moved to a new home in a different state, Maryland, and she feels very disconnected from the rest of the pack. She doesn't want to hang out with her age mates, who are these 5 boys who sexually harass her all the time.
And they're called the 5.
Yeah, and
is cool.
It's capitalized, and it's said over and over again.
It just feels so unnatural.
It's so jarring. So she doesn't want to hang out with them, and she doesn't like hanging out with her mom anymore, which her mom
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't either. Her mom's a mess.
Her mom is whack.
Her mom is a whole big mess.
Esme,
yes. So she wants to make friends, but she lacks the ability to do so, because she doesn't want to be friends with any of the werewolves, because they are, I mean, like, honestly, justifiably so, because the only ones her age are harassing her all the time. Like, I wouldn't want to be friends with them either.
Yes. And they were at fault for her dad dying,
too.
If it hadn't been for them, then he wouldn't have had to... The fire wouldn't have happened, and he wouldn't have died.
Yeah, because the one of their friends, which incidentally, why were they called the 5 if there were 6 of them? Because one of them died.
That's a good question. Oh my god.
But they were like, we've called them the 5 since childhood. So did they not acknowledge the one that was hanging out with them and died at the beginning of the book?
They rewrote all of history.
They're like, it's always been 5.
Are you sure? The 6, I mean, the 5. I'm so sorry.
So there were 6 of them, but the one killed a human girl.
Got a taste for the human.
Got a taste for the meat body. And that one was killed, and the rest of them were punished. But then people in the town, because it's a small town, they figured out that werewolves and came after the rest of them and set the inn on fire. So that's why the fire happened. So it's technically their fault. And she was like hanging out with them and kind of doing shitty stuff with them too, but was not specifically involved in the murder of this girl. So good for her, I guess. So she wants to make friends. She doesn't want to be friends with the werewolves, and she doesn't know how to be friends with people.
She thinks people are afraid of her because she's too attractive.
Yeah. I mean, good for her. She's very, very self-confident. Like,
she's sexy and she knows it.
Like, but it was a little much at times, and she was like talking about how beautiful and perfect she was, and how I was like, okay, girl, calm it down.
Well, it wasn't just her; it was everyone
That's true.
the book.
Also,
every male in the entire book checked her out and commented on her looks.
And they were very, very into the fact that she was tan. Like, did you catch that? How often?
No, I didn't.
Well, it was more the narration than, like, the people, but, like, she mentions it. It's mentioned in her initial rundown of all the things that makes her beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful.
Tan legs make you beautiful.
No, because she says that, like, she has golden skin even when there is no sun. Like, she's perpetually tan. But she's not, she's, like, blonde and tan. So she's not, like, in any way a person of color. She's just a tan white girl.
Yeah.
But then later, like, whenever she's comparing herself to other girls and stuff, they're like, oh, they're pale flesh and they're maggoty pale flesh, and she looked like a worm. And I'm like, okay, like,
yeah,
we get it. You can afford to go to the tanning salon. Like, okay, calm down.
Maybe it's like the color of her fur influenced the color of her skin.
No, because her fur's red.
Oh, well, I don't know then. I don't know.
So, yeah. So she wants to be friends. She likes to paint things. She painted this picture of wolves running through the forest or some bullshit, except, like, in an abstract expressionist way, so, like, no one knows that it's wolves running through the forest, because she's so deep and no one gets it. But they published that in the school magazine, and across from it was a poem about being a wolf running through the forest, which, okay. So...
Yeah. But the funny thing about this, though, is when she's, like... When the book is being narrated in this portion, she's like, I hope that there's not some trashy piece of work displayed next to my perfect art.
Yeah.
Like, she's real snooty about it. And then when she reads the poem, she's like, oh, good, it's worthy.
It's great. It's beautiful. So she wants to track down the writer of the poem. So she asks her teacher to point him out. She goes and finds him. It's this guy named Aiden. He is... a
hippie, I guess.
I don't know what Aiden is.
I don't either.
Not a Satanist. We know that.
Yeah, which again, like, harkening back to the 80s feel of this,
like,
the
satanic panic stuff. Very weird.
I don't think that was around in 97, but
okay.
I don't know.
It was definitely one of those things where, like, she was drawing on something from her own, like, teenage years, and she's like, oh yeah, they probably still do that. Like,
yeah, I'm not gonna check. It's fine.
It was pre-Google. What was she to do?
That's true.
So
not ask a teenager.
She meets this guy Aiden. They start chatting. They go out. They start making out. It's lovely. They're super, super into each other, and she really wants that D. She wants to see his wing wang so bad. So bad.
Like, they're, like, constantly PDAing, like, just all over the place. Like, they went to a concert with their friends, and then they just start making out while their friends are talking to them. And, like, I'm just like,
all right.
What?
But she is very horny for him, and that is the one thing I will say.
And he's a teenage boy.
He's a teenage boy, but he doesn't push it. He doesn't seem interested in, like, sex with her. He just wants to make out. So, like, that was, you know, nice that he wasn't pushing her boundaries, I guess. But, like, she was clearly up for it. And at some point I wanted to just be like, girl, use your words. Tell him that you want to have sex. Like, why are you making... She keeps being like...
Don't demur.
Right. She keeps being like, maybe he doesn't want me. I don't know. And I'm like, just tell him. Like...
Yeah.
Be like, let me see your wing wang. Like, what is...
Your meat boy wing wang. I want to see your little meat boy.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The werewolves call him a meat boy. So that's...
Yes, but then it also extends to her just like calling him boy.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
All the time, which was really weird to me. She's like...
Also, can we get into how much glee Annette Curtis Klaus seems to take in the fact that female dogs are called bitches?
Oh my god, everyone's a bitch in this book.
And like, the humans use it as an insult at a few occasions. Like, okay, that's an insult, but like, every single time they're talking about the female werewolves, they're like, oh, the bitches were doing this, the bitches were doing that. I'm like, you're not calling...
Yes,
you're not calling,
even the narration.
You're not calling the male werewolves curs. Like, why are we calling the female werewolves bitches? Like, just call them...
Edgy.
It was very like, okay, we get it. Like, you have a pass to say bitches. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, female dogs are called bitches, so it's not misogynistic. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's dating this guy. Meanwhile, pack drama. So her dad is dead. She is sad about it. She needs a father figure. This will be, revisited later in this book and episode.
Yeah, she got daddy issues now.
This could have been called Electrocomplex with werewolves. Like,
yeah.
That was basically this book. So her dad's dead. The pack needs a new leader. They're not sure if they want to stay here in the city or move back out to the country. They need a leader to decide for them. They decide that they're going to have a big a trial thing to decide the new leader, which is like the correct way to pick a leader for whatever.
The ordeal.
The ordeal. Yes, thank you. So that's going to be in a few months at the full moon, and all of the boy werewolves are going to fight it out, except you have to be of age, which for boy werewolves is 21. And the girl werewolves, after the boy werewolves fight it out to see who will be the pack leader, the girl werewolves who want to can fight it out to figure out who's going to be the pack queen. So the mate of whoever just won the boys fight. The cutoff for that age is 16. So already
we're getting creepy.
Getting into some creepy territory here. So amongst the boys, the 5, capital T, capital F, are not allowed to compete because they are under 21.
They're real salty
They're
about
really
it.
upset about it. Then there is Gabriel, who is a 24-year-old werewolf who may or may not be hooking up with Vivian's mother, Esme. Is that her name?
And another woman who is Esme's age.
No, wait. Astrid's not her age.
She's one of the other.
Astrid's
yeah,
younger.
she's like... No, she's one of the 5's moms.
No, that's Renata,
like
I thought.
She's Gregory's mom.
Oh, dang. Okay, I thought it was...
No, so this book also suffers from, here are some names, we're not going to give you any way to connect these to any actual personality.
I thought Renata was
just throw
Gregory's mom, and she was somehow involved in the stuff at the end, but maybe I misread that.
I think she was Willem and Finn's mom.
Oh.
Because they were twins.
No,
then Ulf's...
She was Ulf's mom, wasn't she? Because Ulf was hooking up with Astrid at one point, and she was like, how dare she hurt my boy? Renata was. So I think Renata was Ulf's mom, who was hooking up with Astrid, who was Gregory's mom. I think.
Or was Ulf... Or, no, wait, maybe she was Ulf's mom, because didn't Ulf tattletale at the end, or did Gregory?
Oh, you're right. Ulf tattletaled too. Oh my god, this book is messed
I
up.
think moral of the story is they're all interchangeable.
Everybody's hooking up with each other's moms.
Yes, that's the other thing. Is like all of the eligible women are, well, there's 3 of them. It's Vivian and then 2 moms. So, which,
moms
I'm not here to like age discriminate on like if a mom wants to get with a 24-year-old, that's fine. The problem comes later when the mom wants to get with her son's friends, which...
Who are in their teens. like
in their teens,
under 21 for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's like they say age mates, but I'm not sure if it's like literally they're all 16 or if it's just kind of like the teenagers, you know?
Yeah, I think that was kind of my impression, was that they're all just the generation as opposed to...
So, okay, so we've got these 3 girl werewolves who are eligible to be the new queen.
The alpha bitch.
The alpha bitch. And then we've got Gabe, who's pretty much the only boy werewolf who is eligible to be the alpha. Like, there's a lot of other names thrown around, but none of them really seem interested. Like, one or two of them
and then there's some lone wolves.
But they're like... Everybody's like, no, well, they're dumb and they won't be able to do it. The only one who's kind of presented that they might be a threat is Astrid, the girl werewolf, who's like, I want to fight with the boys. Which, if this had been a different book, that she would have won, and this would have been really, really cool.
Yeah. It was...
Because there's this whole argument of like the boys are like, well, we can't have the girls fight because, you know, like, people die in these, and we're not just going to have, you know, like, needless killing. They're obviously not going to win because the boys are smarter and faster and stronger. Or no, they're faster and stronger. And I think Vivian's mom is like, yeah, but some fighters can be smarter or more cunning, and that can, you know, end up being better in the long run, which sets up to me that in the fight, the thing that will win, in one of the 2 fights, the thing that will win is cunning. But that's not what happens.
No, it was just brute
It's just like whoever's best at, like, chewing the other's face off.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, because it's like the first to draw blood.
Yeah, well...
Or
It's like an injury, because she gets first blood, but then she keeps fighting, but then eventually they pin her and she, like, submits and puts her belly up.
Oh, yeah.
Because she ends up insisting that she gets to be in the fight, and she is, but she gets knocked out pretty early, but she's not the first one to get knocked out. But blah, 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 big long fight scene, Gabriel wins. Good for him.
Good job.
Then, while Vivian's watching all of this, Astrid, who, again, was just in the fight with the guys, randomly jumps on Vivian's mom, Esme. Is it Esme?
Yes.
Okay. Jumps on Esme, Vivian's mom, and attacks her. And Vivian, who is a little dum-dum, doesn't realize that this is, like, the fight to decide who's going to be the top bitch. So she jumps on Astrid to, like, defend her mom.
Yes.
And she ends up beating Astrid. And everyone...
She plucks her eye out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She like, eats it.
Eats her eyeball.
Gross.
It's like, okay. It's like, doesn't it say something about, like, she, like, grabbed onto something and, like, kept biting down until it popped like a grape or something? I'm like, okay, that's a visual.
It was very visceral.
And then for the rest of the book, Astrid wears an eye patch. Which is cool. Which, like, okay, so they take their clothes off when they shift. Does she take the eye patch off?
That's a good question, because...
I hope not. Because, like, everything else, you'd leave it in a pile and it would be fine. I feel like that eye patch would get lost, though.
It would, like, the wind would pick it up or something, or a bird would take it to make a nest.
Yeah, so
But then, like, how would it stay on her wolf face when she... Well, I don't know.
Elastic, I guess? I don't know. Like, it's...
Yeah.
So, Vivian wins, accidentally. And everyone's like, oh, she's the, you know, queen of the werewolves now. And she's like, no, I don't want to do this, and runs away. Gabriel shows up at her house and sexually harasses her some. And again, this is the 24-year-old who may or may not have been hooking up with her mom before this. Comes to her house and sexually harasses her. Which would be bad under most circumstances. And is really extra bad when, like, literally everyone she knows is like, well, you're gonna have to fuck him eventually.
Yes, like, no one feels any sympathy for her, and even her mother. Like, I know they're kind of estranged now because Vivian didn't care for the way that Esme is grieving her lost husband, but, like...
By going out and getting that D?
Yeah, but Esme is like, well, suck it up, Buttercup. Like, you don't have any choice.
Nobody at any point is like, you know what, you're right, you're 16, and although this is our pack law, we're gonna just accept that you can be in charge and not actively fucking some guy. Like, we can...
Yeah, like, you don't have to mate.
Like, we can put a pin in that for a few years and figure it out when you're an adult. Like...
Maybe you should get to know each other first, because she really doesn't know him that well.
So there's all that going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes over to Adrian's house. Now, at this point, she's met Adrian's family.
And his dad has checked her out and made many comments about how she's too beautiful for Aiden and that she should be with an older man.
What? I said I keep saying Adrian.
Oh, what is it? Is
Aiden.
Yeah, Aiden. Adrian. I know.
You said it right. I keep saying Adrian. Sorry.
Also interchangeable, I feel like. Yeah,
I'm just going to say Aiden
like...
a few times so I can sub it in. Aiden, 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 Aiden. All right, cool.
Aiden.
Anyway.
Dang, that would have been a good tag, too. So when she goes to meet Aiden's parents, his dad comments on like how she is too beautiful to be with Aiden, and that how she looks like a girl who would date older men,
right? And
then like gives her the like look over, like, and
she shuts that, like, she's like, she picks up on what he's doing and is like, it is gross, I do not like it, which to me is a signal that this book understands that adults having relationships with 16-year-olds is not okay, and that this might come up later. Spoiler. Nah,
they don't care.
Nah, fam.
If he's hot, it's all right.
If he's hot and has killed a woman.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to it.
And if he has like a position of authority over you as well, that's extra good.
If he reminds you of your dead dad.
Oh, that's the best. Wow.
So she's met his family. His family thinks that he's a Satanist, and as we kind of hinted at earlier, have grounded him for being a theoretical Satanist.
Because he likes to paint the ceiling of his room black,
which,
and
like,
listens
ground him for
music.
that. That's obnoxious enough. Like, stop painting your room black, kid. Like, but so she goes over to his house while he's grounded, but his parents are out for the night, and she decides that she will reveal her true self to him. So she, like the little dum-dum she is, doesn't give him any sort of warning or context. He's naked in bed.
She says, "Do you want to see my magic?"
While he's naked in bed, which, why was he naked in bed when she came over?
Well, he said, "Give me 10, count to 10 and then come in." So assumably he got naked real fast and then ran upstairs.
Like, that's weird. You're weird. He's
It's
such
very
a weird child.
It's all very weird.
But so she goes into his room and is like, "Do you want to see my magic?" And then starts turning into a fucking wolf, and didn't think that maybe she should explain that beforehand.
But like she transitions in phases, and so like mid transition she could see he's like freaking the fuck out about it. So as like a part human, part wolf, she's like, "Hey baby, it's okay.
Hey
it's just
baby,
me. I just wanted to show
it's fun." Oh man.
Oh my god.
So
I hate it.
Aiden is understandably no longer into this.
He throws a mug at her head.
Which, like, okay, as much as, like, in our Nicholas Sparks episode, I trash people throwing things at their significant other and was like, that's abuse. I do think you get a pass if your significant other turns into a fucking wolf in front of you. Like, yeah, maybe
monster.
throw something at them. Like, they should have explained that's on them.
Yep.
So she at first is like, she's very upset because she's like, why doesn't he love me? I don't know, because you turned into a fucking animorph in front of him, you crazy person. and then she's like, I should kill him. No! And then, like, hops out the window, breaking the window as she goes.
She smashes through it.
Like,
leaves her clothes, I guess.
Fucking Kool-Aid man. Through the window.
Because she got naked.
So she goes to talk to Aiden or something, and Aiden's like, nah fam, not into it.
You scared me.
He's very scared, and he doesn't want to make out with her anymore because he doesn't. Oh shoot, I forgot. Big plot point. After she runs away from Aiden's, She goes home. She wakes up the next morning and she has human blood on her, like, little fingies.
Mm-hmm. My fingers.
And she thinks it might be Aiden, so she calls Aiden's house and he picks up the phone, so she's like, cool, it's not Aiden.
Yes.
Dead body.
Yeah, because she, like, blacked out from the rage of being neglected.
She doesn't know what
rejected.
happened. And she's heard stories of that happening, so she's like, oh my god, I lost control. Dead body found at the bar where her mom works. So she's like, oh my god, I killed someone. The rest of the werewolves are like, shit, one of us killed somebody, so we gotta deal with this. So, like, the pack is all riled up.
Yes.
Meanwhile, she continues this drama with Aiden. She tries to, like, explain things to him. He's like...
She stalks him.
Yeah, a little bit. He's like, no, because, like, you might be a murderer. Like, I saw the dead body thing. I'm not into murder.
He's like, I can't kiss you ever again without thinking of the blood in your mouth.
Because I think you've eaten human flesh is essentially what he's...
which, fair point.
You know, like, I agree. Aiden,
Props to Aiden there.
You're right. That's a line. So Aiden starts making out with this girl, Kelley, who...
Yes. And then, like, in a real shitty twist, because we're, like, kind of like, hashtag Aiden did nothing wrong. But then he goes and he tells all of his friends these terrible lies about her, about how she's, like, this manipulative, crazy woman.
Okay. I agree that the whole... Again, this is making me defend things I wouldn't normally defend. In general, when guys go...
If you were confronted with a monster.
In general, when guys go and tell all of their friends, hey, my ex-girlfriend is crazy, probably he was the problem. In general, I think. But in this case, when he's like, I don't want my friends to get eaten by a werewolf, I need to get them away from her. Hey, she's crazy. Don't hang out with her anymore. Like, I do think he's a little bit justified.
I guess I didn't look at it from that frame of reference. Like,
if you're
Aiden,
if you're
Aiden and
you
like your friend.
I just don't want my friends to get eaten, which turns out to be a valid concern.
I will tell them she's highly emotional and volatile, and I was being emotionally abused for our entirety of our relationship. And she threw a chair out my window.
And which there was a broken window. Like, that's physical.
Yeah,
evidence.
that's a good way to explain
so,
that.
So, like, his friends are... I mean, I don't really blame any of the humans. I think they were doing their best with a very...
Humans did nothing wrong.
did nothing wrong.
The meat people.
The meat bodies. Aiden starts making out with this girl, Kelley, at this concert, and Vivian...
Well, first, though,
right.
Vivian hitches a ride with Gabriel.
Yes. Sorry, I got it swapped as to which happens first.
She hitches a ride to this concert with Gabriel, who just happened to be going her way. And he rides his motorcycle through the audience of the concert and, like, parks near Aiden and their group of friends. And Aiden sees Vivian with Gabriel. So she very, like, impulsively starts making out with Gabriel. And they're really getting into it, making out, I guess, for, like, I don't know, 10, 30, 40 an hour. I don't know how long. But then he says at the end of it, don't use me like this, and then drives his motorcycle away and leaves it.
Number one, seems like it would be a great scene in an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, what was Aiden's thought process during, like, while he's watching this? Like, you just watched your ex-girlfriend, who you know to be a werewolf, drive into the middle of a concert with a guy on a motorcycle, make out with him, and then he doesn't stay for the concert? Like, what a weird situation.
It is bizarre. I don't know what her, like, she was obviously there alone.
Right.
So that's a little bit awkward. Like, not to say you can't go to a concert by yourself, but, like,
do you live your best life? But if you're going to make someone else jealous...
Yeah, you should show up with, like, a lot of hot guys.
Or
not
just
the
friends.
one that
just
leaves
some
you.
Friends.
Yeah, or just friends. You know, whatever. If you want to do, like, the low-key revenge, but...
just, I'm living my best life without you, sort of thing.
Yeah, the best revenge is me just existing.
Right. And being hot and tan while you're making out with that pale Kelley.
Meat sack Kelley.
Meat sack. So, he makes out with Kelley. She goes to Kelley's house, breaks into her room.
After Rafe got her drunk.
Oh, yeah, Rafe got her drunk. You're right. Sorry. I keep forgetting, like, important
They don't seem important, but I guess they kind of are. I don't know.
Rafe got her drunk at the concert. Rafe also, we should mention at this point, is having a relationship with Astrid, who is that adult woman who also may or may not have had a relationship with Gabriel. It's all very, very sexy up in the werewolf pack.
Yeah, man.
So she goes to Kelley's house and just, like, again, turns into, like, a half wolf situation and just, like, goes to town on Kelley's shit and, like, tears up all of her clothes.
all of her things.
And then goes back home and goes to bed to sleep it off.
Mm-hmm.
Wakes up the next day. No blood on her this time. But mud. And as she, you know, arises from her bed, out falls a severed hand. And she's like,
how did that not create any blood, though, is my question. She's like, oh, no blood.
I think
and then just
because
hand.
She says, like, it was in the river or whatever. So I think it was like they killed this guy in the river because they find him on the riverbanks later. So I think, like, in her mind, she was like, I murdered him in the river and all the blood, like, got washed away.
And then kept the trophy.
And then she, like, just went back to her house with the little, like,
in her mouth. Look, Mom, I brought a snack.
So, yeah. So she's got a hand. She's like, oh, fuck. Killed another guy. Other guy's body is found. And they're like, oh, my gosh. It's some sort of beast murderer. And we got on the news, they're like, oh, the beast murderer. We got an anonymous tip that someone thinks it's a werewolf. Ha 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 ha.
LOL.
And of course all the werewolves are like, fuck, someone knows. And she's like, fuck, Aiden told everyone. So, God, now I'm trying to remember.
Guess I gotta go kill myself.
Oh, yeah. So she's like,
Sorry, not to make light of someone who's like...
I just totally forgot that was the next plot point. So she's like, she figures that Aiden knows that she's a werewolf. He doesn't know that there are other werewolves, number one. Number two, she figures that she has a bloodlust situation going on, and she's not going to stop. So she's like, I gotta kill myself, because then Aiden won't, like, push on the werewolf thing, because I'll be dead. And also, clearly, I'm just going to keep killing people, so I need to stop doing that. So I'm going to kill myself instead. Which, again, as plans go, like, not, like, it was a pretty logical, like, conclusion.
It was the least messy.
Yeah, like, considering that, like, in any other situation, I would be like, hey, maybe tell a trusted adult before you, like, decide to off yourself. But
when your trusted adult is trying to fuck you.
Yeah, like, one of your trusted adults wants to, like, actively have sex with you. Another trusted adult wants you to actively have sex with that guy. And also the first trusted adult has said that if he finds out who killed those people, he will kill them. So, like, you're going to end up dead no matter what. And, like, this way you don't have to deal with that guy trying to fuck you. So, like...
There you go.
So she goes off to set herself on fire.
Yes. Yeah, so she goes through, like, very, like, methodically, I could kill myself this way, but no. I could kill myself this way, but no. So the way I'm going to choose to kill myself is the same way my father died in order to pay tribute to him.
Which, that didn't make sense. And also, she's like, we've already established that werewolves get silver poisoning, so just, like, swallow a fucking spoon. Like, what's...
Yeah. Well, and she's like, oh, burning alive, it won't hurt for that long.
I'm like, yes, it will.
Yeah, it fucking will.
Like, the worst possible way you could do this. At least
especially because she has
first.
Like advanced healing powers or something. Like, you're gonna roast for a while.
So she goes off, covers herself in gasoline, and can't, like, get the lighter to work or something.
Yeah, can't light the match.
So as she's sitting in the woods covered in gasoline, one of the five, Willem, runs up to her and is like, no, don't murder yourself. Oh, she leaves a note for her mom also that's like, hey, by the way, I did it, and now I'm gonna go kill myself, so don't worry about it. Love you, bye. So Willem comes up and is like, don't kill yourself. You didn't do it. Someone else did. And then Gabriel shows up following Willem and is like, hey, baby, you need a bath. And I'm like, this is the least sexy thing.
Literally.
What is
That's
this?
what he says.
I wish I was making that up.
Oh my god. Yes, because he's, like, made a lot of references to how he's going to court her and how he's going to woo her and win her over, and just like...
Which most of his courting is just being like, we should have sex now. And I'm like, that's... Buy her a fucking, like, box of Godiva or something, man. Like, I don't know.
What do teenage
She's
girls
16,
in the 90s like? I don't know. Yeah. And also, like, I feel like if you're going to court someone who is significantly younger than you and possibly, like, not of a legal age to have sex with, you shouldn't call them baby, because that makes it a little weirder. Yeah.
Also, can we talk about the scene? So right after the Kelley thing happened where she trashed Kelley's room, the police show up at her house and are, like, questioning her about the Kelley thing.
Oh my God,
and then Gabriel shows up and is like, they're like, where were you last night? And Gabriel's like, oh, she was with me. We were fucking all night. And, like, the police don't stop to be like, but you seem to be an adult man and this seems to be a child.
Yes, they accept it. They're just like,
okay, good alibi.
All right, I'll write this down then.
Like, no, you need to call CPS and figure out what's going on.
Someone needs to be notified.
This is a 16-year-old. Like, what are you doing? He is 24.
Only one crime at a time, man.
Right. That's in the underage sex crimes division, and we are exclusively minor breaking and entering with trash teenage rooms division, so y'all can just continue fucking. It's fine.
That's fine.
So Gabriel shows up, says the gross thing about how she needs a bath because of course she's covered in gasoline. They explain that Ulf, another one of the five, who is Astrid's son, I think, we don't
know,
heard Astrid and Rafe come home, and they had a body with them, and then they wrapped the body up in a carpet, and he realized that they were the ones doing the murders. So he went and told Willem, and Willem went and told Gabriel, and Gabriel... Oh, and Willem went to go tell Vivian and found the note and then told Gabriel, and so they all chased after her. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, so, but I wasn't clear, and I don't know if the book said this explicitly and I just missed it, but was the dead body supposed to be Aiden's BFF?
Yes, it did say this explicitly, because I just realized I did not explain to our listeners. Earlier, Aiden's BFF, Quince, all the names in this book are stupid. Quince, came to
Quince. They introduce him as Quince, and then like at this very end of the book, they're like Peter Quincy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, that's
like he's been Quince the whole time. Who's Peter Quincy?
So Quince came to Vivian's house to give her a note that was like from Aiden. That was like, meet me in the forest where I can murder you at 2:30 at night. It didn't say
put you out of your misery
where I can murder you, but like it's pretty clear that's what's going on because. Anyway, so Quince, Peter got by Rafe and the pedophile wolf.
Yeah, assumably in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah. So
murder at high noon, I guess.
So Gabriel tells Vivian that she needs to go meet Aiden to make sure he's safe. Because they think, like Rafe and Astrid are going to go after him next or whatever. Because obviously she gave the note back to Quince, so he had the note with him. So like they know that he's going to be in the woods at 2 a.m. And she's like, well, what if he wants to kill me? And Gabriel's like, basically like, that seems like it's your problem. Like, go deal with it.
Like, you shouldn't have told him.
So she goes off to meet Aiden. Aiden is like, I'm here to put you out of your misery. I made silver bullets. I'm going to kill you. She's like,
which is like a huge assumption that she was miserable because I think she really likes being a werewolf.
Yeah, but I think he also thinks she's murdering people.
Yeah, he does.
Because she's the only werewolf he knows about. So he thinks he's like
fair
being
assumption.
Like a vigilante. That's his version of it.
He thinks he's Batman.
Yeah.
So Batman doesn't kill. Never mind. He's not like Batman.
He thinks he's what's the name of that one guy? Constantine.
There you go.
So he shows up. She shows up. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. She's like, I didn't kill anybody. Also, you need to leave right now. And then Astrid, I think, comes out and is like, what makes you think there aren't other wolves? But bam, we're here. And
her and Rafe.
So then there's a little scuffle. Aiden ends up killing Rafe, and Vivian ends up subduing Astrid.
Yes. And can we talk about here their motive? Because Rafe is like, LOL, it was just a prank, man. It was just a prank. We were just gaslighting you as a prank.
Right. Like, they planned all this stuff to make her think she was killing people and going crazy. And yes, Rafe, who is, of the 5 boys, probably the most fleshed out and seems the closest to her. Yeah. But he's like, wasn't this a funny joke? It's because you've been hanging out with the meat boy, and it made me jealous. And I'm like, that's great.
And then Astrid's like, it wasn't a joke. I hate her. Legitimately hate her.
Because she took Gabriel from me. And then Rafe is like, wait.
And Rafe's,
why do you care? You love me. And we are all like, she doesn't love you. You are a child.
You stupid, stupid boy. But then he dies, so it doesn't matter.
So then Gabriel shows up with the rest of the pack and is like, kills Astrid because the law is the law. And
makes sense.
Yeah, valid. And then Aiden tries to shoot Gabriel, but Vivian jumps in front of him and gets shot with a silver bullet. And then is like,
but not very
not super shot, just like a little shot. And she's like half transformed. And
she's stuck.
So she gets stuck like that. And Aiden is like, oh my god, I didn't mean to shoot you. And Gabriel's like, you literally just shot the only person here who cares about you. You should probably go.
Yeah. And he's like, will you tell me if she's okay?
And Gabriel's like, I'll tell you.
I'll find you.
Gabriel's like, I'll tell you if she dies. Yeah. I'm like, if it wasn't for the fact that he's a 24-year-old trying to have sex with a 16-year-old, I would really like Gabriel.
Yeah, me too. If he was age appropriate. Only.
So Aiden runs off. And she's like, well, I ruined Aiden's life because now he's gonna always think there are werewolves trying to kill him. For the rest
we don't spend long enough ruminating on that. She's just like, well, sorry, I fucked it up for you, Aiden, but bye, we're moving to Vermont.
So they all move to Vermont, where they can keep her in an attic, and she can be a little half wolf, half girl thing.
Mrs. Rochester.
And then, yes. And then Gabriel comes to visit and is like, hey, let me tell you this story about this time that I killed this girl that I was in love with because...
A meat girl.
Because I was in love and we were fucking and I kept trying to change while we were fucking.
Because something was missing from our fuck sessions.
Missing was me being a wolf while I had sex with her. Which, like, Gabriel, no. So he's like,
oh no.
So he kept, like, changing little bits and pieces as they were, like, having sex until he, like, went too far and she noticed. Which, like, she must have been a real bright one if she...
Oh my
she didn't notice until his full face was like a wolf face. Because she's like freaking out and he tries to explain, but he can't because, again, wolf face.
It's a wolf face.
So he's like, rawr, 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 and she's like, oh my god, I'm having sex with a wolf.
Bork, bork, bork.
So she's understandably upset. He smacks her because, as one does when a woman is upset.
Yeah, because that's cool. That's the thing you want to tell the woman you're trying to potentially have a relationship with. I hit women.
But what he says is, if she was one of our kind, she would have been fine. I'm like, no. No, Gabriel. That's not the issue. The issue isn't, well, it was her fault because she couldn't take a beating. Come on, man. I was rooting for you.
We liked you so much until then.
So Gabriel admits, this dark, tragic past of his, which I'm going to get into the ways this book could have been fixed in a second, but he gets into his dark, tragic past, and she's like, oh, you understand me. We can...
It really turns
her on. And also the fact that, like, a couple times he said stuff like, I will protect you, and you are mine to care for, which, again, are things that, like, her father would say. She's, like, real into it. Yeah. Like, literally, she does not consider Gabriel sexually at all until he starts saying things that are, like, fatherly. And it's like, girl, you need to take a step back and examine what's going on here.
Get that shit under control.
You are literally horny for the man who was having sex with your mother, probably, and is saying fatherly things to you, and your father recently died. Like, there were some...
And he's filling your father's job in the past.
Like, there were some wires crossed in your brain that made your little, like, grief center and your little horny center, like, get a little bit mixed up. And you need to see a therapist and deal with that and process it, and then maybe date Willem. Like, he seems age appropriate.
Yeah, he seems sweet.
So the two go running off into the forest. Oh, he's like, the only reason you can't change back is because you just don't want to. And she's like, oh, you're right, that was it, and changes back. And...
But don't they do something in the bedroom, like, where they have some sort of physical moment where, I don't know if they're just making out or if they have full on have sex, because I didn't want to read closely. It was too gross to me. And she, like, howls really loudly in the bedroom.
I must not have been paying that much attention to that bit, but let me see. Let's explore this book. Yeah. Her back arched, her body shattered, she howled. So there was some howling. But here's the thing, you could include that line in a non-werewolf book, and that would be like, oh, just, like, sex noises. But, like, the fact that it's in a werewolf book. But then after they have sex, she's, like, back to normal. I think is the deal.
Yeah, she can switch back and forth really easy after sex.
And then she's like, why were you so into me? And he's like, oh, because you care about people, and you were upset about, like, your mom getting attacked by another woman, and, like, your family being in ruins, and, like, I'm like, those are basic.
And you walk like a queen.
I'm like, okay, walk like a queen's a little more specific, but, like, caring about your family and, like, not wanting your mom to die, those are, like, pretty normal things. Like, I feel like a lot of people hit those qualifications.
That's true.
You don't need a 16-year-old.
Maybe he's pansexual, he just likes a lot of people.
Well, that's cool, but, like, then date one of them and not the 16-year-old one.
And yes, that you should not have focused on her. You should focus on any of the other people that checked those boxes.
So, okay, here's the thing. Oh, shoot. I'm trying not to say here's the thing anymore. So I've read in a lot of, like, paranormal, romance, supernatural, whatever, there tend to be big age discrepancies because of the whole immortality stuff.
Vampires are immortal.
Right. And honestly, it does not squick me out that much when it is, like, a vampire or a fairy or something like that, because I can be, like, in my head, it's different in their culture. They might be 100 years in fairy years, but that's basically like a teenager to a fairy. Like, I'm like...
Yeah, they just age differently.
It's fine. Or, like, vampires, I'm like, I guess they're stuck as a teenager. I don't know. Like, it's still kind of squicky.
They're forever 18.
When it's, like, a really, like, 16-year-old in the relationship. But if it's, like, you know, a vampire and a 20-something, I'm like, yeah, there's a big age gap, but you know what? Like, what else are you gonna do? You're a vampire. But...
Yeah.
These... two characters are both aging at normal human rates. Like, there's not any weird chronology stuff with the werewolves themselves. So I think that in particular was why I found this specific example so squicky. Like, I was like, oh, you are 24 and she is 16.
Yeah, we, like, how hard would it have been to just... Well, then I guess it wouldn't have been a YA book, but, like, you could have just aged her up.
Aged him down.
18 at least.
She's 17, he's 19. Fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Not creepy. Here's how you fix it. She's 17, he's 19. Her mom is not actively trying to fuck him, but is just like, hey, if it happens, it happens.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I, win the contest, I guess I'll have to do it.
Yeah.
He has a conversation with her where he's like, hey, I get that you were kind of forced into this and you don't want to be in this role. You can go live your life, no hard feelings. And then proceed from there.
I'll wait for you.
Yeah, I'll wait for you. Or I won't. You do you. Live your best life.
Or some other strong alpha bitch might come along. Who's to say?
But the fact that there was literally half of her age between them, she is a child. she acted like a child through the whole book. It wasn't like she was super mature for her age. She was a child.
No.
And that her entire family was like, yeah, you should have sex with this guy. It was gross. It was really gross.
Yeah, everyone forcing. Yeah, I think that's the part that made it, like, really, like, the most gross. Is that there was no one on her side that was like, yes, you are being normal. Like, there was no.
Yeah, and, like, her, like, kind of her attempt to be normal, which was being with Aiden, ended in spectacular failure. You know, like, and that's the thing. I'm like, I don't really get what this book is trying to say. Like, what is the message here? Like, I don't get, because, you know, like, all the paranormal shit is, like, coded for sexuality and hormones and, you know, being a teenager and whatever anyway. So, like, you already have 18 layers of metaphor going on here just by writing a fucking werewolf book.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, is the message you should stick with your own kind because going going outside of it will end terribly? Like, that's a gross message.
It's super gross.
I think what she was going for was be true to yourself, but I don't see why being true to yourself, like, it's so tied to her hooking up with Gabriel. Like, that's how she like, literally, that's how she comes back from being stuck between the two phases, is she has sex with Gabriel. Like,
yeah, a man who she assumably has nothing in common with other than the fact that they're both
werewolves. And that they both tried to have sex with humans earlier and it didn't work out well for them.
Right.
Like, if your only commonality is a tragic backstory, like, you guys need to go see a movie or something and figure out if you like the same stuff.
Talk it over a cup of coffee or something.
So that was this book.
Oh my god. And then I know this is kind of, like, off topic a little bit, but there was also, like, because she was a wolf, she had, like, wolfish tendencies as a human, and so there's just a lot of her, like, licking people and
stalking, like, people.
I was just going through my notes, but there's a scene where after Aiden knows she's a werewolf, when she stalks him to talk to him, she, like, grabs him from behind, and he thinks she's gonna kill him. But then she licks the back of his neck to show him that she means no harm. Like, no, that's worse. That's worse.
That's not.
He thinks you're tasting him.
Which I kind of like that because I do feel she did a good job. I guess we're kind of getting into silver linings. I do feel she did a good job of having, like, it seemed like I got that this was a society of people that was, you know, they had their own way of acting, you know? Like, it wasn't, like, world building exactly, because it wasn't a very big world that she was working with, but, like, she did a good job of kind of making these werewolves feel real, I guess.
Yeah, authentic.
So, I would say this is another one of those books where I liked probably 80% of this book. I thought it was, it wasn't amazing, but, you know, I think if, you know, the ending had been completely different to what it was, and also if it was maybe 100 pages more so she could have fleshed some stuff out and explained some stuff more, it would have been really good, but, you know, it wasn't, because the ending was gross.
Yeah, that 20% that we didn't like was really
overrode the rest of it for us.
Yeah, no coming back from that.
You can't come back from pedophilia. What is the age of consent in, where were they?
Maryland.
Let's look it up, and let's see if I get added to any lists for looking up age of consent in Maryland.
Persons aged between 14 and 16 may consent to sex as long as the other partner is not more than 4 years older.
Okay, so illegal.
So...
Illegal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, did you have...
Gosh, now that's in my search history.
Did you have a silver lining, I guess, for this book?
Yeah, I like that she didn't end up with a human.
Yeah.
I know we were just talking about how like with like it's not a good message.
She could have ended up with no
but,
one.
You know, there's so many of these where like the paranormal and the human get together and their love conquers all, but you know that's bullshit.
But also I will say there aren't a ton, and this kind of goes to the age gap thing too. There aren't a ton where the paranormal person is the girl.
Yeah, that's also true.
Because it's usually the boy, and they're usually look like they're 17 but are secretly X million years old.
Old as the earth itself.
Like, so, like, I liked that she didn't end up with a human in terms of, oh, good, it wasn't the typical... I would have liked it more if it was just she didn't end up with anyone. I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
If it was,
she said, fuck
and
this
left.
shit, and
yeah,
ran away.
like, literally, if she was just like, I don't feel like I belong in the pack because I don't belong in the pack. They're gross and patriarchal, and we kind of acted like we were going to deal with that, but we never did. They're like, oh, but the woman has so much power because she, is in charge of her mate. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we get it. 50s regressive bullshit. Like, that's not true, though. We should be past the point, even in 97, where we're sitting around going, well, the woman's sphere is in the house, and the man's sphere is in the public life, and the woman controls the house, and the man controls public life, and that way they both have equal power. Because, like, I get it that was a thing in Victorian times, but it was also a lie then. So...
Yeah, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer had come out in 1996, the year before this, so, the groundwork was there.
So, we were living in a post-Buffy world. Was
Get
Charmed
with
out
it,
yet?
Annette Curtis Klaus. Probably. Charmed, TV show, original, not remake. 1998. So no, Charmed.
Oh.
So this paved the way for Charmed. It was Buffy, Blood and Chocolate, and then Charmed.
That tracks. Oh my god. All right. So which of the characters did you most identify with?
Oh, I was gonna say Aiden, but then cause the whole, if you saw a monster in your bedroom, yeah, you would want to get the fuck away from it. But yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, I don't really like Aiden, but I feel like that's like a real response to this situation.
And I think especially like 16-year-old me would be most like Aiden in this.
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
Or Aiden's friend, not the boy who dies, but the girl.
Bingo.
Who has a stupid name. Bingo. That's it. Bingo.
That's her name. She's never given any other name in the book. Just Bingo.
We don't know why she's called that.
Yep. Nope.
But yeah, like she doesn't matter in terms of plot, but she seems to have reasonable reactions to things. Like, she tries to be friends with Vivian when she's dating Aiden.
That's true. She was really nice.
And then when Aiden's like, hey, she's emotionally abusive, she's like, oh, well, fuck that girl then.
Yeah.
Which, again, if a friend came to me and was like, hey, my girlfriend threw a chair through my window and there's physical evidence of that, like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, well, yeah, she seems like maybe not the best. So, yeah, I think the humans in general.
Yeah.
I don't relate to the werewolves. Their problems are not my problems.
Yes, I have never had to participate in an ordeal.
I've never been as horny for Meat Boys as Vivian is. Oh, she just wants the D so bad.
So bad. That inferior little human D.
To be fair, we don't get into, like, the graphics of, like, but...
yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I guess that was kind of another point about, like, why her relationship wouldn't work out with Aiden, because she was seeing it more of, like, an animalistic, like, I will dominate him and, like, be the alpha over him, and that's why I'm so mad about his rejection, is because it's, like, unnatural and against the pack order, and so...
Yeah.
Yeah, inferior little human D.
Yeah. So... Oh, man. So what would you have rather read this week, if anything?
I think super obvious, Bitten by Kelley Armstrong.
Oh my god, I was thinking of using that one.
I know.
I didn't.
I took the obvious one.
It was on my list.
Yeah, so if you want a very good paranormal romance about a female werewolf who doesn't feel like she fits in or even likes her pack, you should read Bitten by Kelley Armstrong.
Yeah, I love that entire series.
Yes, Women of the Other World, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Other World.
Yes. It is very fun and very entertaining. And although not all the relationships are without their problems, they are at least not 16-year-olds dating 24-year-olds.
Yes. And the writing is better.
Yeah.
And also, it has, like, a paranormal of all flavors. So, like, you get your witches and your wizards and your werewolves.
As the series goes on.
Yeah.
Demons, half demons, and all sorts of stuff.
So.
Necromancers, I think, are in there at one point.
I need to finish that series. I've never finished it.
Well, because, like, each book is kind of a different character, so there's not, like, there are some that follow the characters specifically from Bitten, and then it, like, branches out.
And I think that was why I didn't finish, because I just really like Elena and Clay, and I didn't want to read about anyone else, and so I was, like, salty about
Love
it. Clay.
That TV show, though.
I think I only watched the first episode. It was too cheesy.
It was so cheesy.
If it's still on Netflix, I might go back and watch it.
I think I watched through the second season, and I was just horrified by what they did with, like, how much they ignored the stuff that's in the second book.
Because the second book is intense. She gets kidnapped. Yeah. Well, sorry.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
No, I think it's, like, on the back of the book.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped and meets Susanna.
She doesn't die in the first book.
No, yeah. There you go. Yeah, she goes on to fight another day.
Yeah. Yeah, Susanna and Paige.
Anyway. Oh, right. What character did you feel you related to most, Em?
We're on Rather Be Reading. I already said I agreed with you on the Aiden and the bingo thing. We did this.
All right. What book would you rather be reading, Em? Okay. Em, what book would you rather be reading?
I just want you, I'm leaving this in so you all know how traumatic it is to get through these segments with Anna. And why I'm always the one who has to be like, okay, segment, okay,
but listen,
segment.
Whatever.
Look, the segues aren't great, but they're what you're gonna get.
We've already talked about me. Who else is there to talk about?
Okay. I was, this week, as I was reading this book, and thinking about how gross it was that this 24-year-old was dating this 16-year-old, I was thinking about kind of other books with big, like, gaps in the ages of the relationship. And trying to be, because like I said, I was like, I don't have a problem with this, like a
May-December relationship.
Well, like, I don't have a problem, like, in Holly Black's Tithe, where it's, like, a super old fairy and a teenager. I'm like, no, I'm into that. So, like, what is it about this specifically? But in thinking of that, so I was basically, like, thinking of books where I'm okay with gross relationships. And the one I came up with was, actually, I mentioned earlier, Tamora Pierce. That a lot of her relationships, especially in her early books, have huge age gaps in them. And they meet when the girl is, like, 13.
Alana, is that her name?
Alana and George, yeah. And Dane and Numair, like, he's actually her teacher, and he's, like, in his 20s, and she's 14. But, like, I also still really like that book series.
I need to go back and reread those, because I don't, like, I read them, obviously, when I was much younger, and that totally just, like, whoosh. Didn't notice.
Yeah, because I went back and reread them, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're like,
this is wrong.
This is so not okay.
Grooming.
But like at the same, but at the same time, I was like, I think it's because it's like medieval, that like I think it gets a pass more easily, I guess. But like the whole thing about women getting married at 13 is not really actually historically accurate. It wasn't really that widespread like we act like it was. But at the same time, I still really do love those books, even though the relationships in them are pretty fucked up.
Hey, as long as we acknowledge they're problematic.
Oh, actually, so because those are all fucked up, I'm going to go with my pick for Tamora Pierce, the Trickster's Choice series, where it is fucked up in the opposite direction because the girl involved is a fully adult, like teenage adult-ish person, and the boy is a man who used to be a crow and is so only a few weeks old.
Oh no! That's very questionable.
But again, he's like teenaged in crow years, so it's fine. But like,
you mean
at one
in
point
crow days? Like, it's not been a year.
At one point, she says something about like how old he is, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm only a few weeks old," and she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get into this. Like,
why did I even write this part of the
info? Book?" Oh man.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that was my journey to pick a different book. And to acknowledge that I am a hypocrite, because as much as this book grossed me out, I have read other books where there are huge, uncomfortable age gaps, and I still like the books.
Yeah. Well, some just, like, they're, like you said, it's like the 80-20. Like, the 80% wasn't good enough to cover up for the 20%, but like Tamora Pierce's book, maybe the 80%.
And I think also the setting, and like, there are again, there are circumstances.
More magical circumstances.
Magical, like, fairy tale world that's set in a, not, like, this is very much set in the 90s America. Like, we should know better.
Yeah. Well, and there's also very questionable consent and power struggles and,
All right. So that pretty much wraps us up for this fortnight, I think. So next fortnight, it will be another challenge episode, which will be issued by Anna. And, oh, you know what? I meant to mention earlier, we did this because it was like Halloween and spooky, and it ended up being spooky in a different way. But I'll just...
It was another kind of nightmare.
But so next episode is going to be right around our podiversary, so we will have been coming to you guys every single fortnight for an entire year.
Isn't that
so
exciting?
In honor of that, Anna, I believe you have picked something especially atrocious, or...
I hope it'll be especially atrocious. I picked it. I have, like, for the longest time been looking for a book because you have a lot of knowledge and background in, like, folklore and mythology and interest in that. So I've been looking for, like, a very unfaithful adaptation. But I couldn't find one that was readable enough to me and also bad enough for you. So I just, like, scrapped that and went for a different kind of adaptation. So I'm very excited about this. The book is called Juliet Immortal by Stacey J. Let me just go. I'm just going to dive.
I might have that book.
No!
I might have picked that book up from half price. I'm not sure.
Well,
I haven't read it, but go ahead.
Okay, let me just dive into this description then, because Juliet Capulet didn't take her own life. She was murdered by the person she trusted most, her new husband, Romeo Montague, who made the sacrifice to ensure his own immortality. But Romeo didn't anticipate that Juliet would be granted eternal life as well, and would become an agent for the ambassadors of light. For 700 years, Juliet has struggled to preserve romantic love in the lives of the innocent, while Romeo has fought for the dark side, seeking to destroy the human heart. Until now. Now Juliet has found her own forbidden love, and Romeo, oh Romeo, will do everything in his power to destroy their happiness. Secrets unfold, and surprises abound in Stacey J's powerfully dark romance, which reunites literature's most tragic couple.
All right, well, I haven't read this book, but I know I've heard of it before. Like, if I don't own it somewhere in this apartment, I've definitely picked it up at some point. And I did not read it because it does sound terrible.
Yes, it sounds like, so already, like, the worst Shakespeare play. Arguably.
I mean, well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into it. And then an adaptation of it that I'm sure will...
has absolutely nothing to do with the actual play, it seems.
Yep.
Like. Great. Really cool.
So there you go. So I couldn't find an adaptation quite like I wanted, but I think this one will do the job.
All right. Sounds fun. So swing on by next fortnight to check that out. Hear us talk about that.
Oh my god, what if we both really like it?
I mean, it's possible. It's always possible.
That would be a good twist for our year episode.
I know. Yeah, that'd be great if we actually ended up enjoying a book for once, both of us. We've come close.
Yes.
We've, like, looking back on this last year.
A year in review.
Yeah, like, we both didn't hate A Dog's Purpose as much as we thought we would.
The Ruins.
The Ruins we liked.
Yes.
We liked The Ruins. It was gross, but we liked it. So I guess we have read one that we liked. But yeah. We'll see how it goes. All right.
Snow James Patterson. If you have ever had a paranormal reveal him or herself to you, how did you react? Please tweet at us and tell us about your experience.
You can tweet at us at HateReadcast on Twitter. You can also email us hatereadcast@gmail.com. Also, shout out to Pups and Pop Culture podcast, who responded to our last episode to let us know that the Nicholas Sparks book that involved organ transplants that we couldn't remember. And now I still
It had such a good name too. It was like
Best of Me.
Yeah, I think
it was Best of Me.
Yeah, Best
of Me. Yeah, the Nicholas Sparks book that involves organ transplants was called The Best of Me. So thank you to Pups and Pop Culture for helping us out on that one.
As always, thanks to Ben Cope for the use of our theme song. You can check out his YouTube channel in our show notes. And if you are liking our podcast a whole bunch, but you haven't subscribed to us, you should do that on whatever platform you're using to listen to us. And if it is iTunes, leave us a 5-star review.
Yay! Yeah. And thank you to those of you who have already written reviews. We love it so much. Mm-hmm. It is the only joy in our sad lives as we
one of the only good things we get to read.
Only good thing we get to read as we trudge through these monstrosities.
In the words of Annette Curtis Klaus,
stayed out all night with my cousins smoking dope. She was damned if she'd pretend to be grounded for some tame reason.
So hardcore, I can't stand it.
Oh, also, I was going to propose.
I do.
That. Oh, you're leaving Michael for me.
Twist.
No, I was going to propose that we change the intro from "Hey everyone" to "Hey literary slummers."
Yes, I've been like thinking that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Or like, "Hello, fellow literary slummers," or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to leave this part in as the tag to explain that we're changing it. And if you want to know why, go listen to the Steinbeck episode. And that'll explain
Welcome to the end of the episode. See you next time. Bye.
Hopefully we don't say anything funny in this episode that I'd want to use as a tag.
This would be a very serious conversation.